I think this is just great news for Brandon Aiyuk. Absolutely phenomenal news for Brandon Aiyuk. The 49ers showed up today and did something they did not have to do, and they did it anyway because the San Francisco 49ers, and sure, people are going to bring up this time, that time. For the most part, almost all the time, the 49ers, I feel, one of the characteristics about them, they take care of their dudes. And so when I look at this new deal for Christian McCaffrey, and we will play some sound about this and from this, there's Kyle Shanahan, there's Christian, there's Debo. There's a lot to get to here with this brand new deal. But mandatory camp is open. Christian is there. He's got a spanking new deal. Did the Niners have to give it to him? Probably not, but they did because they take care of their people. And if I'm Brandon Aiyuk, I walk away from whatever happened today. I go to bed tonight thinking two things. A, the Niners are taking care of their guys. And B, they just opened up some more cap space, and I bet they're partially doing it for me. Yeah. That's what I'm walking. That's how I'm ending Tuesday, June 4th. That's,
to me, the biggest takeaway is the second piece of what you said, because they opened up more room for him. And it's not room for him for this year because, as you mentioned, if he signs a deal, his number for this year goes down, but you can roll that number over whatever you have under the cap. And think about that. If you can re-sign McCaffrey, they did. If you can re-sign Aiyuk, and I think that they will, and lower your number, and I know the post-June 1st release of Eric Armstead freed up a bunch of money. If you could take about 25 or 30 million in cap space and bring that with you to next year, well, then maybe it doesn't become a fait accompli that Debo Samuel will be gone next year, or other players can be retained and kept based on the fact that you're taking all that cap room into next year. I do think that they had to, quote unquote, do something for McCaffrey. You didn't want him playing this year without any guaranteed money. And I know that his salary was $14 million or so. The cap hit was still big, but you wanted him to feel like no matter what happened, he was going to get a good chunk of money for the next few years. So I do think that they kind of had to. And him sitting out the voluntary workouts sent them a signal that he wanted something done, and they had to do it.
Right, but understand, because a lot of people will be like, wow, and Adam Schefter tweets this out. Like, I'd love to, pull this apart for a second. Because if you're on Twitter, have you noticed that these tweets always end with who the agent was or the agency that did the deal? This is all just a game that gets played to sort of like give out the credit. Adam Schefter goes, Christian McCaffrey has reset the running market again.
Right.
$19 million a year in non-guaranteed money. It was done by WME football. Non-guaranteed money. The 49ers can still cut Christian McCaffrey in 2 years. And what does he get additionally today if that happens?
$24 million.
He gets $8 million extra bucks that he wasn't already going to get. And so basically what they just cut Christian was a bonus check.
Right.
It's kind of like getting to Christmas time and being like, you kind of kicked butt this year. Let us break you off.
You got a signing bonus of 14.3.
It is exactly like what the Raiders did to Max Crosby a week and a half ago that we talked about.
Right.
So he didn't reset, blow something out of the water, whatever. The Niners did him a solid. And they didn't have to. And they did. I know you said I get where you're coming from. They didn't have to.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
I don't think Christian was going to sit the year out, but they're also looking at it going, and I think this is what any good company does. You look sometimes at your top employees and go, okay, if you're feeling some kind of way, let's talk about that, because we don't want you in here feeling some kind of way. So can we do this in a way that's not going to be debilitating to the company, but also get you an acknowledgement so that we see you, you're awesome, you're incredible. You're a fantastic part of this team. We need you. And more importantly, we need you happy. What's it going to take to do that? Well, break off a little here, there, whatnot.
Right.
Put a little extra on the back end. If I'm still healthy, I can still be a productive running back in 3 years, and you still want me. Here's the number that we'll do it at. And everybody's happy. But the idea that this has anything to do with Brandon Aiyuk, that is a completely different animal.
Completely.
That contract versus this one.
This was we're going to give you cash now and build it in on the back end in case you're still healthy, then you'll reap it in 2027 when you're 31, fine. If that's the way this goes, then he'll get that money. But if you look at the structure of this deal with McCaffrey, his base salary in 2027 is $16.85 million. And I would imagine that if he's still playing well and productive, you get to that year in his contract and they do the same thing they just did. They tear it up and they give him more money up front and then they build it off in the back end so that he has the potential to make more. He got a $14 million signing bonus, which is basically what he was going to make this year. So they took this year's salary and said, we're going to give it to you guaranteed up front, and we're going to build it in on the back end to where if you're still around, you might make that money that everyone's talking about resetting the running back market, which he won't. And if you look at the out number in 2026, it's $8.5 million. So if he plays 2 more years and he's starting to go the way of most running backs, he's slowing down. He's not as good as he was. The Niners can get out of this for $8.5 million, and they can eat that much money. And McCaffrey goes wherever he goes, and he and Olivia can start a family and all the rest of it.
Now, Kyle Shanahan said something interesting about Christian McCaffrey's usage. Now, we'll have that for you in 10 minutes.
His Kyle usage.
Okay. Well, and we'll count the stuffs.
I'm warming up.
We'll count the stuffs.
Okay.
I know you will.
Thank you. And the ums.
We promised the Debo first. Debo. Okay. So here's what Debo said. And I do think that it's interesting on its face, and there's also a hidden message in it. Let's listen to it first. First question. Did you hear? I always love this. Did you hear the trade rumors? Can you imagine if he was like, no. Something happened?
Wait, what?
Debo, did you hear about trade talks at draft time?
Yeah, I heard it. Had a conversation with my agent about it. They was going back and forth with whoever it was. But it was a thing at first. But, we done moved past it. So we're here to get better.
Okay. That is 10 seconds of gold. There's a lot in there.
We heard it. We moved past it. We're here to get better.
But think about sentence by sentence. First of all, I heard it. Sure, we knew you heard it. Then he said, I had to talk to my agent.
Yep.
They were going back and forth with whoever it was, Steelers, whatever, confirmation. There were Debo trade discussions that were happening at a high level. Then he says, it was a thing for a minute. Also known as, I was super mad.
Right.
I was super mad. And then we got through it, and now we're here.
To try to get better.
Well,
if you're a team that wants to trade for Debo, you're going to reach out to the agent and say, hey agent, how would Debo feel about being a Steelers? And hold on, let me ask him. And then you got to call Debo. Hey, Debo, the Steelers want to maybe trade for you. How do you feel about that? Oh, hell no.
Well, the difference between a Debo trade and a Brandon trade is that Debo's got a number of years left on a deal. And so a team can acquire him, and you don't have a choice. Brandon's got a little bit more of a choice in any potential trade because he can simply say to the team, well, I'll just come and play on my 5th-year option, and then I'm not re-signing there, right? And so there's a little bit of a difference there. A little bit,
yeah.
Here's where I think the hidden message lies. Debo's asked, and again, the phraseology is hilarious, are you aware that the 49ers can get out of the contract after this year? Well, he's a football player. Yes, he's aware that they're allowed to cut you toward the end of your deal and move on. But anyway, the answer, listen to this. Are you aware the Niners can get out of your deal relatively cheap after this year?
At the end of the day, contract was signed. I know what I signed up for, and we just focus on this year.
Okay. Again, that's 4 seconds of gold.
Yep.
At the end of the day, I know exactly what I signed up for, which means not only does he know that the Niners can get out from under the deal this year, he knew that when he signed it 2 years ago. He knew exactly, these guys know exactly how their contracts work. And then he drops the Bob Myers on everyone. Listen to it again.
At the end of the day, contract was signed. I know what I signed up for, and we just focus on this year.
We're just focused on this year.
Yeah.
What that tells me, the hidden messaging there from Debo Samuel, in my opinion, I'm well aware that Brandon Aiyuk, my wide receiver partner, is probably about to get paid because he deserves it, and it's time, and he's younger, and he's been more productive, and you see what's happening on the open market. So me, Deebo Samuel, what am I going to do? I'm going to focus solely on this year because I am keenly aware that it is highly likely that I will no longer be a 49er after this season.
The cap hit this year is 28.6, and then if they are able to trade him post June 1st next year, that dead cap is about $15 million over the course of 2 seasons. So the Niners at the end of next year would recoup some savings, and they'd also have a dead cap hit, but that makes the most sense about, what you might